You know, lettuce is really easy to grow, and I found out early on that it only takes about 1 square foot per person to provide a pretty good constant supply of lettuce throughout the week. If I take a bowl and just pinch off some leaves of this lettuce, and I'm pinching off the bigger leaves, you can see, I'm going to kind of get some from all around here. You can see how fast this adds up. So breaking this up, it would provide, just this much would provide a nice little salad. So I'll show you some pictures of previous years when I first started growing lettuce, when I grew way too much. And I found out that about 1 square foot per person growing at a time works the best. And I plant it in succession, meaning I plant little areas at a time, spaced out 2 to 4 weeks, and that way there's always a couple square feet of lettuce growing in my garden. That saves space for more plants, there's less waste, and it's just greater overall production in the garden. Now, as far as growing loose leaf lettuce, this is black-seeded Simpson. It's very common, really grows nice, and whether it's this variety or another, I'm going to pull out one entire plant. What you do is, this isn't the best example, but you're always pulling the lower leaves. And when you do this, the smaller inner part just keeps growing. So as this gets bigger and this gets bigger, you're pulling off the outer leaf and allowing the inner part to grow. So it's not just a one-time harvest. Even just 1 square foot keeps producing and producing for weeks, while you've got another square foot or a bigger area, smaller area growing. So it's a great way to keep lettuce in the garden all the time. Here's another example I pulled out, and you can see how previously I picked off this leaf, then this leaf, then this leaf, and this is still growing. So I would then, as you're coming out here just getting your dinner, go ahead and, pick a leaf. You always leave 2 to 3 here. This will keep growing. If you pick a few leaves off each plant, it just keeps growing. All right, now this area right here is 1 square foot. And if I pull out this little garden marker that's now kind of buried, this is December 6th is when I planted this, and it's now the beginning of February, so it's about 8 weeks old. I would say this took about 4 or 5 weeks to get going where I could eat it regularly, and it's probably going to last, I would say, another month. So in the neighborhood of 4, 6, 8 weeks to be eating on this 1 square foot of lettuce. That's why I say only 1 per person, because 1 square foot per person, because this provides so much. So I'll plant this area, then wait a few weeks, plant another area, and so on and so forth. So I've always got a couple square feet growing in the garden, and there's plenty of lettuce to eat. Now, to plant lettuce, it's really easy. I have my garden, at least one bed, divided with some plastic wire, and I'm just going to scrape away the straw that I've got that I'm using as mulch. And I just plant 1 square foot at a time, because I found about 1 square foot per person is plenty of lettuce for our needs. And we can get a few salads a week, and we can always eat fresh lettuce. Now I'm just going to loosen up the soil here. As you can see, it's very easy to dig into, and I always like to check for earthworms. There's one there, and if you got earthworms in your garden, that's awesome, because they're doing work for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So lettuce requires light to germinate, so I don't want to bury these seeds. I'm just going to loosen the soil just a little bit, tamp this down, and what I like to do sometimes, which I'm going to do now, is there's another little earthworm. Look, it's a little baby. That's nice, because I know that I've got a growing population in the garden. I like to see that. That means I've got good, healthy soil, which is one of the things I strive for. Anyway, what I do, which I said I'm going to do in this case, is sometimes I'll put just a little potting soil mixed with a little bit of compost, just to sort of give it a good base for the seeds, and so they don't kind of wash into some of the bigger bits of the soil. And I'm just gonna kind of flatten this out, not compact it, but just get it flat, because what I want is the seeds to basically just sit on top of the soil. They can get a little covered up, but you really want the light to help them germinate. Now I have a variety of seeds that I either save or buy, and once I get a little tired of one particular type, I'll plant something else. So today I'm going to plant this mix of lettuce, and I don't make it very complicated. I like to do things and make them easy. You can see there's 500 seeds in this package. It's obviously way too many, so I can do a succession of planting. I can plant this area, then I can plant the next space. I can plant a few different areas, and as one's growing and I'm eating it, I can come over and plant a new one, and that's what I'm doing today. So I'll just take let's see here, that's probably too much. There. Again, I don't make this complicated. I'll just take a few at a time and kind of rub them through my fingers throughout the little area. I'll just take them and rub them, and as they fall, as I move my hand around, they'll fall down and kind of get a good scattering over the soil. Remember, if you plant too many, you can always thin them out. And what I do is, if I do that, which I actually like to do that, I'll thin them out, and as it's getting ready to grow, the ones that I thin out, I eat. Okay, that's good. Now once I've scattered the seeds on, I'll just lightly sprinkle some water on there. This is rainwater, which I love to use. I'll let that soak in. And in about 7 days, sometimes sooner, sometimes later, those seeds will sprout. In the meantime, before they sprout, you want to keep that soil moist with the sun hitting it and drying it out. You might have to sprinkle it every day. You could use a watering can or a little spray mister. Whatever you use, just keep the soil moist, and the seeds should germinate, and pretty soon you'll have plenty of lettuce. And here you can see next to this, I planted these a couple weeks ago, and you can see how thick I planted the seeds. And like I said, that's fine. I'll thin these out as they get a little bigger, and it'll provide a little salad here and there until they get larger. And here you can see another area still where I've got a really deep red lettuce planted. It's next to 3 square feet of other lettuce that I've planted at different intervals. And you can see how much and how big these get. And you can see how much lettuce it will provide by just planting 1 square foot at a time. I've also got a little salad bowl of lettuce planted in a shallow pot. And just to show you how easy lettuce grows, right here I actually spilled some lettuce seed on my brick pavers, and I picked up as many as I could, but I washed the rest off with a hose and it grew right on the edge of the border. So you see, it doesn't have to be a complicated procedure to grow lettuce. Basically just put them on the ground and they'll start growing.